Is it recording now?
Yeah. I just realized that we weren't recording. I record audio, I was recording video.
Okay, are you ready to go?
Yes, it's recording now.
Okay.
Yeah, go.
There's REC there.
Yeah, REC.
Right, you're welcome to the discourse today with the discourse with JIMI DISU on Classic FM 97.3. I'm sure you enjoyed last week's edition with Brigadier General Isama, the retired brigadier, who said he ate human flesh and who, yeah, he ate human flesh, yes, he did. He said he ate human flesh, yeah, well, he ate it mistakenly, but he ate it all the same. And also who was able to, tear Obasanjo's book, My Command, tear it limb from limb, and let us know that the poor man was shot in the buttocks. Now, the week preceding that, we had a journey into the minds of 4 kids. We brought 4 10-year-old kids, into the studio, and it was quite interesting, seeing and hearing, what little kids think of 10-year-olds, and on that day, I also had another 4-year-old, she came in with her mom who listens to the radio regularly and then just kept telling her mom, oh, I want to speak to JIMI DISU, I want to go and see him. And so she was there. So we had a big party with chocolates and things. And then I also had Rhoda Odigboh, I hope I got that right. Odigboh, yeah, and she came in and passed a few comments. And then I said that, okay, this week we were going to analyze what we heard the kids say, analyze the kids, and then I'll ask you. We'll also discuss a few things, about us. So welcome, Rhoda. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
You look well. Wow.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah, look at Victor. Look at him smiling. Can't think of that. Well, I mean, that's natural. I mean, in the hustle and bustle of this city, how do you manage to look this good? Just tell me.
Wow. I guess I just say my family helps me a lot.
Yeah.
A huge support.
Yeah.
I have a lot of support, so it works. It works.
Yeah, because it's not easy being a woman, being a mother, being a wife, in the midst of all these skills. How do you combine all that?
Well, it just takes a little bit of determination, discipline, and organization, which I wouldn't say that I'm so great at, but I would say that I try my best to just get organized.
Does that come from your background, or does it come from your profession? Because I know you're a consultant in education.
Early childhood education.
Early child education.
Yes, early childhood education and curriculum.
What do you mean curriculum?
Curriculum consultancy. We basically do curriculum designing, curriculum evaluation.
Okay.
And work out ways of promoting good curriculum implementation.
Well, I thought that curriculum was maybe dictated by the government, that you had a set curriculum that students would have to go through. Yes. It doesn't work that way. Curriculum change, it varies from school to school.
In the public schools, the government dictates the curriculum.
Okay.
But in the primary schools or in the private schools, I would say, most private schools have a way of designing their curriculum, having looked at what is obtainable in our national curriculum. They have seen that it has a lot of lapses, and they want something that is more challenging, that takes their students on a global level.
But how does that now? How does that affect standards? It means that are you saying that the government is not too concerned about? They don't want a steady curriculum for students across the board, whether they're from private or public schools?
No, I think they do. I think they want a steady, stable curriculum for the whole nation. But as we all know, the Nigerian situation.
What's the Nigerian situation?
We have difficulties in implementation. We have very brilliant policies in our national policy on education, but execution is always a problem. Implementation is our major problem.
Do you think that has to do with incompetence or attitude?
Both of them.
You're kidding?
Yes. Incompetence because we don't have the necessary skills needed to gather this curriculum together. We don't have the people who will man them, and organize this curriculum in such a way that it will maintain its standards and maintain all the things that are necessary for students to go through. We always have these issues. We still have the issue of supervisory roles. We have the issue of inspectors of education who basically don't do their job.
Again, attitude or lack of competence?
I would say attitude plays a major role. Lack of competence also. I'm looking at, I don't want to give a percentage on which
you
is
could try.
more than...
You could try.
Well, mostly we have incompetence as the major issue many times, and that incompetence is as a result sometimes of lack of motivation, lack of, I would say, general framework. It's a framework that will ensure that they do their jobs.
I see. Now, I've had this thing, when it comes to primary schools, they have, all kinds of marketing things now come to play. For example, I hear something like Montessori curriculum. What's that? What is it different from the things that I learned in primary school?
Yes, it is different because the Montessori method of education generally views the teacher as an observer. The students are allowed freedom of discovery. They explore their environment by themselves. The teacher is seen as a guide. So it is essentially different in that sense because the teacher doesn't play a major role in their classroom at the very early stages. Going forward, the students are allowed to use certain materials. They have certain materials that are used to focus on their skill development, skill acquisition. Some of those materials are things that you don't find in our regular curriculum. It's not. It's even though it has been around for many years, but Nigerian schools, private schools, began to adopt this system.
Do you think which is the better of the systems now? I mean, you're a consultant, so
yes.
would you, if you were to set up a school, would you have the Montessori type, or would you have what are the other ones that you have?
We have
Montessori, and which other ones?
Basically, we have Montessori method of education. Then we have other types of designs, curriculum designs, which schools are tailored to. Some schools try to use go around their education using mostly subject-centeredness as their focus, which is to basically get the knowledge and retaining of facts, not necessarily applying or the application of the knowledge. Some have a fusion of the different designs because we have basically 4 different designs in curriculum, which are subject-centeredness-centered design. We have the problem-centered design, the interest, the learner's, child's interest design, and we also have the society-centered design.
But which would you if you had a choice?
If I had a choice, we have an additional one. We we are saying we should adopt because essentially the different designs won't give you the all-round, well-rounded, I would say, individual. We call it eclectic. The eclectic design, which is an integration of all these designs.
Why do we have all this? Can't we just have a set pattern like when we went to school we had IBD and just have run through primary school? Why do we have all these various things? Doesn't it affect the child by the time they get to secondary school?
No,
it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. You see, the world is evolving, and education is evolving along with it. And of course, education leads the world into discovery of new ideas, new technologies, new innovations. And because of these new innovations and new technologies, you have to keep viewing your curriculum or reviewing your curriculum to suit the challenges that these students and these children will face in the public, in society.
But the public sector has just one main curriculum.
Main curriculum, Nigerian national curriculum.
I know what the answer is, but I think I should ask you because you're the expert. Put it in the balance. do you get better results from the private schools than you get from the public schools, or can you put it? Because ironically, in my time, it was the opposite.
Yes.
You know, while some went to Corona in those days, Runners and Saviors, it was the guys who went to the public schools in St. Jude, St. Patrick's, and so on that dusted us at the common entrance.
That's correct.
Does that still happen now?
No.
Okay, the rules haven't changed.
Yes, it has changed, and that is the sad situation.
Yes.
Because we have much more numbers in the public schools.
Let me also ask you. I suddenly find that everybody wants to speak English to a child, even if his environment is not that. You know, like a child who lives in a tenement building, the parent wants to speak English to him, but everybody else around him is speaking. And what you do find sometimes is that the person speaking English to the child doesn't even speak good English either. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Is that, I remember, because when we were in school, they always insist that you speak English. Is that right? Or should we go back to where in the primary school in the past, the kids were taught like in their own languages?
I think we should.
I
think we should. I think we not to go back to our primary mother tongue.
Yes.
But to make it a compulsory subject.
Oh, okay.
Because you are in your local environment.
Yes.
You are not just existing in the school. You would leave your school, get out of school, and have to deal with the challenges that are out there.
So
and have to deal with relationships that are out there. So, for instance, if there's a school in Taraba State, it will be important that the child understands or learns, has a major medium as English language, medium of instruction as English language, at the same time with their local dialect.
You don't want us to go back to the days of IBT?
No, they're important. I actually think they're important. I think they are important. I think that it helps us not to lose our heritage. It's a very important part of our lives. You know, these are the things that we have to sell. These are the things that we need to have. Okay,
all right. We'll take a break. We've the main subject that we want to talk about. We haven't even gotten there at all, and that shows you that you know, there's when you talk about education, which I'm passionate about it in the sense that that's what holds the future of the country.
Exactly.
You know, and so the subject is vast and wide.
Very wide.
I had the 2-hour session here once with 2 directors from the retired directors from the ministry. You listened in, yes. I mean, so, but let's lighten up a bit. What kind of music do you like?
Oh, I'm a Whitney Houston fan.
Whitney Houston. Which do you have any track in mind?
Yes, I have. My favorite track is One Moment in Time.
So you still miss her?
Yes.
When you hear that with One Moment in Time, what's the music about?
It's just about.
Is it romantic or something?
No, it's not. It's more.
Is it the one?
It's more inspirational.
I thought it was the one you dance blues with when you met your husband. You know, kids don't.
We actually share the same. We share Whitney Houston together.
You do. I'm sure you share a lot of things together. Okay, it's still the Discourse with JIMI DISU. And oh, by the way, you can listen to past editions of the Discourse on my blog jimidisu.com. And if you're outside the country, of course, you can listen. You know, on the Classic website, classic97.net, and you can send your reactions. You know, you can paste them on my blog, or you can send me an email, disujimi@gmail.com. You know, so we'll take a break. We'll listen to Whitney Houston, Whitney Houston. God bless her soul, and then we'll be right back.
I should just stop it a bit. Pause. Okay.
Yeah, Yes, good to go. It's recording. Because I will take it. It's all like the making of whatever. So it doesn't have to be complicated.
Yes.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, you're back to the Discourse with JIMI DISU, and I still have in the studio Rhoda.
Thank you.
Rhoda, yeah. So you know, of course, you know Rhoda as a consultant on education and
early childhood education.
Early childhood education.
And curriculum.
But do you also like? Do you have any special skills in child's development, as in their attitudes and so on and so forth? Do you have any special skills in that area?
Yes, most early childhood educators are
Yes.
trained to help children develop attitudes, behaviors that are generally good.
When we talk about behavior, doesn't it bother you that it appears as if in this country we don't even seem to have a set standard of behavior when it comes to manners and it comes to the way we do our things? It looks as if we've thrown that to the wind.
Yes, it looks as if we have. Recently, I've had many challenges with relating with people, especially when we're outside on the road, having to share the roads,
Yes.
having to go to the market to buy stuff, and the attitude that you get from the young ones, especially those that are between the ages of, I would say, 12 to 25, you kind of just notice the I would say devaluation that has gone in, that they're going, or that has happened, that has taken place within them. And sometimes, of course, I'm not speaking that is all of them, but it's just generally.
Yeah, just generally, yes.
They have this careless attitude. The respect is almost not there. You can't really say that you can trust their behavior. Just general.
Don't you also notice like anger and aggression?
Yes, anger and aggression is there. It's prevalent, and can we blame them? I'd say no. Frustrations all around them. They're frustrated. Most of them are frustrated, and they just tend to just bust out.
Now, let's go back to the program we had with those kids. What did you go home with? What occurred to you, when you listened to those kids?
The first thing,
yes,
was the fact that they wanted nothing to do with politics.
Yes.
That one stuck with me. I was really surprised. I thought it was. I used to think now after the program, I used to think that children these days saw it as an attractive job.
As a means to an end.
As a means to an end.
Yes.
And I thought that, it was an area that they would want to try, or, to be part of. But it's interesting that that this set of children didn't want to be part of this, because many of them are seeing corruption and an understanding that is bad for us.
You remember the girl, what's her name? I've forgotten her name. There was a girl there who, when we were talking about corruption, said that as far as she was concerned, anybody who was found in any corrupt practice should be killed.
It was
It was
a daunting moment.
Yeah, it was. You know that there was that, and you also remember there was the other guy, the boy.
Yes.
Who was
paleontologist.
He said he wanted to be a paleontologist.
Wow.
These are kids. It's 10, 11.
Yes.
And what amazed me, to be honest with you, was the level of knowledge that they exhibited.
Yes.
Even though of course they couldn't articulate it as well as we would as an adult. But I found some of them smarter than some of the adults that I know.
Yes.
I won't mention them.
Of course.
But
of course.
I found some of them quite smarter than some adults that I know.
That's correct.
That have been given great responsibilities.
That's correct.
I mean, the boy who wanted to be a paleontologist, he had a very clear focus.
Yes.
That struck me, at the age of 10.
Yes.
He had a very clear mind. He knew where he was going.
Yes.
But of course, I also like the part when he said that, when I said, okay, in the house, who wears the pants? And it just swung it. So I said, yes, it's a man.
Yes.
But at least, what I liked about him particularly was that he had the clear direction. And if you saw the way he was swinging on the chair, I mean, you know that he was so sure of himself.
A lot of young children, especially those who come from, in quotes, good parenting background, have a sense of focus. They usually know what they want, because the parenting style is one that is not authoritarian. It's one that is that allows them to discuss and to reason things out.
Good parenting, people need to understand, if you'll agree with me, It's not about throwing money at your kids.
No.
It's not about taking them every day to an amusement park.
Absolutely
or,
not.
or buying loads of popcorn, chocolates,
No.
and biscuits, or even taking them abroad all the time. That's not necessarily good parenting.
Good parenting involves time.
Okay.
Involves discussions. Involves a lot of emotions. You have to give your children your time. You have to share your time with them. You have to talk with them. You have to know them.
But let me ask you, with the reality of living now, how do you put these things in the balance? Usually you find that the average financially stable home involves both parents, one either working in telecoms and the other working at a bank, or vice versa, you know, or they're in business. Now these things, they put a big demand on your time.
That's correct.
So would you want to tell people how they can balance it? How do you make up for lost time?
I know it's a very difficult situation for many parents.
Yes.
However, many of the things that parents are doing can actually be cut short. A little shorter than it should be. I know that the demands from the office can be really intense, but the truth is that you will have to make up your mind to give your children that time, however possible it will be. However, yes, you have to. These are your children, and they're people who you are bringing up to be a certain kind of people. We are trying to raise a generation of kids who will think properly, who will act and solve problems in they're finding their society. This nannying situation is scary for us who are in the sector.
With the nanny situation?
Yes, it is.
Well, apart from the security challenges, what else scares you about the nanny situation?
They are learning from them. And
because
these nannies
the
don't
nanny habits.
Most of these nannies, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners will agree with this, don't have the skills needed to train children. They don't. Most of them don't have.
Is that an education thing or an exposure thing or a combination of the two?
It's a combination of the two. Well, first of all, they don't have those skills to help them with their homework, and then to help them with some of the things that maybe even if you have employed a lesson teacher who comes from just a bit like 1 hour or 2 maximum, and then the rest of the day they have to deal with whoever is at home. And these kids get away with a lot of things. I have written on my blog about the African magic saga, and not to put a name on any channel, because I don't think that any channel is necessarily bad for kids. It is just that you want to be sure what they are learning. You want to be sure what they are watching.
You said your blog. What's your blog about?
My blog is basically about...
You're a blogger?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So what's it all about?
It is www.thelearningcrab.blogspot.com.
That's a long one.
Yes. Yes. It's basically discusses my yearning, let me say this, for a real conversation in education in Nigeria is what led to the blog. I'm talking about education in Nigeria. From homework issues to implementation problems, all the way.
Let me confess. How we met was that I actually I stumbled on your blog and I found it quite not even just interesting. I found it, I was quite pleased that we have somebody who I could see has a passion for development of kids.
Yes.
I believe in kids. Kids once. And if we reincarnate, we'll be kids again.
Yes.
But and I believe that they hold the future. So
they do.
What's the blog again? Because I'd like people to it's called
www.thelearningcraft.blogspot.com.
Yeah, I think that most parents should go to that blog, find time. Our people don't read. That's the problem. We don't develop ourselves.
That's it.
We don't develop ourselves. A lot of people, we indulge in reading gossip magazines and then maybe just politics. Most homes, for example, you find the other watching African Magic or whatever.
Yes.
By the way, there's this program, I don't want to mention it because I don't want to stigmatize anybody, but there's this reality program that we all know that as a parent, what does that tell you? It is true that you can stop your kids from actually seeing it.
Yes. Because it's rated.
It's rated. But even as adults, why would you want to sit down 24 hours watching people run around the house. And now it now got to a point where, you know, because I saw the clip, it was posted on my Facebook. I don't watch it.
Yes.
It's posted on my Facebook page, and there's this Nigerian girl that's been made love to live on television. What kind of values are we going to end up with?
I know that it is when you become an adult, you make your choices, and really you want to.
And your choice would be
an
extra choice.
It is weird, but that's exactly what is going on. The industry celebrates these kinds of reality shows, and they have found that a good number, a significant high number of people are interested in things like this. So it's just the workings of the human mind that one cannot really explain.
But I think that those of you who maybe their children really pass the buck to you, I think everybody we need to make up our minds whether we want our society to go that way.
Of course.
Because what do you have in the papers now? You know, I review the papers every day.
Yes, I do.
And some of the stories that I see, that's very funny.
Yeah.
Rape everywhere.
Yes.
You know, and then you ask yourself, it's even though it's coded and it's executed, but our kids are so smart they can even find a way.
At the tap of a button.
That's it.
Right there.
That's it. You know.
So we shouldn't encourage the viewing of these shows.
These shows, yes.
That is the thing we can do.
Well, I think, and I also think that for as long as we don't want them to start selling bill movies on the streets and so on and so forth, but then why would you want that to happen on on television? And if I remember watching a movie once on TV, and what I saw amazed me. Hey, there was nothing hidden, you know, and I said to myself, no, this is not. I mean, I have nothing against it.
This is the reason why I insist on giving your kids your time. You have to weigh how much money you're making and what you want your kids to be.
Excuse me, yeah.
You have to weigh it seriously and put it into context. What am I looking at here? Am I going to make a lot of money at the risk of having a child who is not well trained, a child who is not well directed, who will have to encounter all kinds of problems and have to make decisions?
Do you think gadgets do any harm to the development of kids? When I say gadgets, all these games that they play.
Yes.
What's your attitude towards them? Because some of them are very weird.
Yes.
You understand? They're weird.
My son is a game lover.
Okay.
Yeah. But we regulate the time. We try to make him not get on it too much. Like we insist on reading a book per day. Things like that. Try to get him to do other extracurricular activities. See if he could go for swimming, tennis, just different activities. These are the kind of things
to keep him occupied.
The problem is that Nigeria has our society, or our country, I would say, has actually eroded so much that kids don't have anywhere to go to play. That is free.
That is free. Yeah.
That is free.
No parks.
No parks. No centers for learning. No book clubs. No. Many of these things are not apparent. I don't see libraries.
Yeah.
I don't see libraries.
I grew up in Yaba, right? Grew up in Yaba. Yaba there, you had the local government library on Macaulay to the left.
Yes.
And to the right, you now had the British Council Library, just in one environment.
And
they're walking distance from each other.
And you can imagine how many years ago that was.
Oh, no, you don't want to guess.
And you wonder why we don't have more libraries.
But we seem to pay lip service to children development, yeah.
We do.
Yeah, it's all about, well, of course, you know what politics is all about. But how come you're anti-politics?
No.
You're a good senator.
No, I would not.
Why wouldn't you?
I'd rather be behind the scenes trying to make sure that people do their jobs. That's what I'd rather do. I'll play an advisory role, a supervisory role in some way, rather than being at the helm of affairs. Because I understand that there is no silver bullet to the answers to solutions, because you have to be faced with the politics
and the hard realities.
And the hand realities. So it's a pretty tough.
It's a tough call.
Tough place to be.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to take another break, so you can get a glass of water and can relax a little bit. So, what would you like to listen to this time?
Let's go local.
Okay.
I like Asha a lot.
Yeah, Asha is good. Asha is good. What do you think of most of the hip-hop Nigerian music?
I don't know. I don't.
You don't know where it's going?
I don't know where it's going. I don't enjoy most of them.
I seem to like Asha. I seem to like Yinka Davis.
Yes,
those ones. Yes.
I don't enjoy most. I do actually enjoy a couple. I think there's some of them that are quite talented. I like Chidinma a lot.
Who's Chidinma? Never heard of that one.
I think she won the Project Fame.
Oh, okay, that's her.
Yeah. She's there.
I never heard of her.
I like Praise also. I think.
Praise.
Yes.
Never heard of that one. Let's try two more. Let me see if I've heard of any.
Okay. Aside from Asha, that would be. Let's see quickly.
You don't like Fela's music, do you?
I do.
You do?
I like Fela. I do.
That makes it my first.
I like Fela a lot.
Okay.
I enjoy his music.
Okay.
Yes.
But we play Asha. Do you have any track in mind?
Wow. Let me quickly think. Maybe Fire on the Mountain.
There is fire on the mountain.
Yes.
Yeah, I know that one. Okay, so I don't let me sing further than that. It's still the discourse. You don't sing well too. It's still the discourse with JIMI DISU. We're going to listen to Asha. I still have Rhoda Odigboh. Right?
Yes.
I got it right now. Yes.
Yes.
She wants to listen to Asha, Fire on the Mountain, which I happen to like too. So we'll take a short break and then we'll be right back. So we'll soon finish. I'm having a good time. What's the time now?
Yep.
Okay. Good to go? Right. You're back to the discourse with JIMI DISU, and I still have Rhoda Odigboh here, and we've been talking for the past 40 minutes. Look, Rhoda, there's a problem that I think most parents haven't put their minds to, and I'd like you to give a clear-cut advice on that. The problem simply is you have a child, two things that I think parents don't give deep thought to. A, at what age should a child start school? You know there's a school of thought that says that you should let children just leave them till they're about 4 before you take them to school. But you do find that from 8 months, 8 months to a year, the child has an exam and has this and has that. I mean, so what is the ideal age? Of course, all kinds of things will come into play when you want to take your child to school. It depends on various factors. But what is the ideal age, if things were normal, that the child should start school?
Okay. We have the early childhood education group, which is from birth to pre-formal education.
From birth?
Yes. Yes, from birth. We say from birth because whatever form of service or caregiving that is given to a child when they're born is viewed as an education, and so we say from birth. And this group is between the ages of from birth to 6 years, which is to 6 years, which is before the beginning of formal schooling, all around the world, and in top countries that are rated top 10 in the world rankings on education. You find that this group is catered for usually by their governments. They usually start with daycare centers, which averagely I would say begins at 3 and moves up to kindergarten, which is the class that they have set up to begin what they call pre-formal school, what is called pre-primary school. And this is the kindergarten age, and it's supposed to be at 5. In Nigeria, in our national policy on education, you are supposed to start primary school at 6. Nigeria has left the early childhood education group in the hands of private sector.
Because no government
no government facility for that, and I frown at that, because this period is a period for lifelong learning. This is when you develop the latent skills that are needed to ensure a smooth transition into lifelong learning, and this is where you develop cooperation skills, communication skills, interactive skills that are very important. Now, to start school, if I would say I would suggest that kids should begin formal school, which is primary school, at between the ages of 5 and 6, saying from 5.5 and 6, and then 5.5 to 6, and then for daycares from pre-primary school, I say they could begin at 4. 4 is good. 3 to 4 is fine.
But you know, we have this rush by parents. You know, they tend to want to rush their kids through education just so that they can boast and say that, oh, my daughter graduated at the age of, excuse me.
I am not sure how many people are confident of that boasting. I am not sure, because in the long run, you tend to have problems.
What kind of problems do you have in the long run?
So most students burn out. We see them every day. Most students burn out. They burn out. They learn under undue pressure.
The way you say they burn out, what?
Burning out constitutes, killing the love for learning.
I see.
And that's why we don't have that many creativity with our people. We don't, because we don't focus on the real needs, those needs that the students will have to learn. We need to work on these aspects. We need to make sure that students are learning what they need to learn as they go. For example, in the early childhood education group, they have no business, really. There's no reason why a 3-year-old will be learning how to write numbers 1 to 100. There's absolutely no reason for that. My question is, what will he need to use 100 for example? How many things will he have to pick up at home that he will need to count up to 100?
Up to 100.
How many? What market is he going to? What kind of exchange? If he was going to play with stones, could he gather 100 stones at 3? I have a lot of worries about these things because I've seen it happen, with directly to my friends, a couple of people, acquaintances that I know, that I have, and it's not a funny situation at all.
Yeah, but do they what about the argument that says that really children are denied a childhood if you put them to school too early?
Very correct.
You agree with that?
I agree with that.
So if you can afford it, let's assume if you're a housewife, for example, whatever, you can easily leave your kid at home till the kid is about 3,
yes,
4?
3, 4 for pre-primary school.
For pre-primary school, and let him just have, because what I do find again is you find because these primary schools especially want to outdo each other.
Yes.
Yes, the kids sound brilliant. I mean, they can say a lot they can recite all kinds of things. Memorization and so on and so forth. Put them all under that kind of pressure.
Yeah, the rote style of learning.
Yes, but what you do, what I just find really is that they don't discard things, They
do.
It's not as if they put it in a proper balance as it's right in their head.
Jimmy, I have asked a 3-year-old who knew how to write their numbers from 1 to 100 to show me 76, and he couldn't. Because he doesn't understand the context.
The context of what numbers, it means, yes.
What does 76 mean? And this is where the Montessori method of education thrives, because it doesn't allow for that kind of rote learning. It allows children to discover numbers by using them, by understanding the makeup of the numbers, by quantifying the numbers. So it's a big problem. We find children are learning at a speed of almost lightning. It is almost unimaginable that these kinds of things are happening, and parents are not the wiser, because it is a trend, and they think that if my child doesn't know how to read, for example, when he's 4 years old, then it's a problem, and they don't understand that that's not the point. He will learn to read anyway, eventually.
The other thing that bothers me, and I'm going to provide a free service for parents and would-be parents. I discovered that we take decisions concerning our children's education with our egos in mind. This is you like your child, for example, to go to school in a particular location. Say, where's the child? Oh, he goes to school in Lekki. Remember, you live in Mafuluku. You live in the Lassa Maja. Or Makuku, you know. And then say, oh, come, what school do you go to? He said, well, he goes to school in Lekki. And okay, fine, you get to the school, it's a nice building, nice lawns, nice environment, a lot of swings and so on and so forth. But how do you determine if your child is going to get what I would call a good education from a school? I don't care where the location would be.
Yes.
You know, I've seen. I remember, for example, they had some very nice schools in those days in Ibadan, you know, in various areas. So, what are the things to look out for when you want to take a decision that, look, my child has to start primary school? What are the things? Forget the location.
Yes.
Okay. What are the things that you should look out for?
First thing you should look out for is the curriculum.
Or you can ask for it.
You should demand for it.
For
it's
it.
your
Okay,
right.
it's your
you want
right.
to know what your child is about to learn.
Okay, so what should you look out for in the curriculum?
You want to look out for a curriculum that allows your child to develop themselves
How would you know that?
creatively. Many parents might find it difficult to know because many we found that many parents don't know what it is to look out for. There's no standard for them on which to thrive on. So, but now there's a new standard, which is at a social age, my child should be able to do this. At the social age, my child should be able to read this. At social age, my child should be able to do this and that. You know, and this is the standard. But for us, we say when the child comes in, let us begin by giving them a good foundation for the love of learning. Let them start to enjoy learning first. Let the environment first of all be conducive, and then let them know stage by stage, go through a sequential type of systematic type of learning, one that will encourage them to develop in stages, develop in slow but gradual stages that would make them to become adults who are now fortified to learn on their own. Many countries in the world are working on this, and they're still reviewing their curriculum and saying, okay, what do we expect our children to do at a certain age? It's a whole wide curriculum of things to do. I mean, something that we can't narrow down, but basically, what you want your child to know when they get to school is that they would love to learn.
Now, do you have people who offer this service? Because look, I ask myself, but I'm past that now. But I hope this thing sometimes it's privilege can bring you back to where to where you left years ago. But I ask myself that, okay, fine, I go to a school, I ask for the curriculum, I look at it. Am I not necessarily, of course I'll understand what it's all about, but
Yes.
Do you have people who offer this kind of service for parents, you know? And do you offer that service for parents?
Yes,
to say,
I do.
Look, if you want to send your child to school, if you come to me, I can put you through, all the nonsense. Because
basic skills.
Believe you me, I believe a lot of parents are being taken to the cleaners.
Yes.
You know, they're paying loads and loads.
Money.
And the thing with our people is this. Some people believe that the more school fees, the higher the school fees you
Yes.
pay, the better the education you are going to get. And it doesn't necessarily
No, most times you're paying, most of the time you're paying for extracurricular activities. The trips.
The trips.
The trips.
No, you pay high school fees. You pay high school fees, right? You pay high school fees, very high school fees, and then you also pay for the trips.
You pay for the trips, you pay for the other lessons, gymnastics,
Well,
I'm
going to ask you a question that probably threw you off in your seat a little bit. Are you happy with what the religious organizations are doing with their schools? Let me tell you what I mean. When I was growing up, for example, all the Catholic primary schools were completely free. Now they're no longer missionary schools, they're like religious schools, church schools owned by churches and so on. They're the most expensive. Well, I mean, how does that get you?
I'm not sure if they are the most expensive. I can't say they are.
Yeah, some of them are. They're
quite
very expensive. Yes.
And usually when you find that, you see that they're trying to meet up with the challenge that is out there in society. They're trying to say to the others that we are capable of giving you this kind of education. So come to us, and then you get the additional religious training that your child needs. I guess that most of also they spend a lot of money, training on their staff. They spend a lot of money on books, and
but these schools really, because are these churches supposed to run the schools as a business?
No, they're not.
Yeah, because the way I look at it is, look, you collect money from members of your church as donation to the schools, and then half of the congregation cannot
afford to go to that school.
Afford to go to that school. Now that isn't fair.
It is very shameful. Yeah. It is very shameful. You wonder. So what was the goal of setting up the school? Is it just to make profit, or is it to afford every child in your congregation, so to speak, the opportunity to have a good education? And that's where the problem is. That's where something that is really worrying. And you will find that even the congregation and the church or the church members are not the wiser. They don't see it as a problem. And if they don't see it as a problem, their perceptions, just...
The ones who don't see it as a problem, of course, Nigerians love showing off. The ones who don't see it as a problem are the ones who believe they can afford it. But let's be honest with ourselves. In a congregation of about 150, 200 people, maybe only 20, 30 people can actually afford it.
Yes.
So you find that even those who donate their pennies and whatever, who donate their little money here and there, they actually can't even end up getting to the schools, and they don't give them scholarships.
Jimmy, you're absolutely right.
Exactly.
But that's where we are asking the government to come in.
Okay.
We have our national goals of education.
Okay.
To build a free and democratic society.
Okay.
To have a just and egalitarian society. To help some of these goals are not being achieved. That is why these people can thrive. This is why the churches can have a school that is so expensive and their congregation cannot go in, because the government schools are failing.
Yeah. Well,
they have failed the children. They have failed our economy, and we're still failing.
It would be nice to have you as a minister for education. I'm sure you'd love that.
Oh my God, Jimmy, that's a tough one.
Well, the biggest enemy this program has is time.
Yes.
And there it is. One eye is gone.
Yes.
Okay. So it's been nice having you, Rhoda.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm going to drag you in again. What we're going to do is I think we'll do one with teenagers at some point.
We should.
Like about 15, 16 years.
And let's get, maybe you should get students from public schools. We'd like to know their opinion.
Well, yes. See, let me be very honest with you. I tried not to have a mix on that day. So it wouldn't, children are very, very sensitive. And, truth be told, it should, matching students from the public sector with the private sector in the same program.
It would be good for us to understand the dynamics of society that we're dealing with.
Well, but I'm also thinking of the sensitivity of the children, But we'll sit down, let's work it out in our minds.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that nobody gets hurt by all this.
Okay.
I thought of it, but I didn't want anybody to think that I brought children in public schools to ridicule. You understand? And that's why I tried to, but we'll work on it. Maybe we'll get the public schools on and see what happens.
Let's know what they think. It's important.
It's important.
They make up the generation tomorrow. They are more.
Okay, we'll think about it.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, okay. On the program.
Yes.
You need to.
Thanks for having me on the program.
On the program, yes. This is radio. You never know what people might think.
Oh my God.
People are up to all kinds of mischief. Having him.
I see.
Okay, it's been the discourse with JIMI DISU. Now you all go out there and have a lovely week, and I hope to be with you again next Sunday. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh,